Hi, I'm Madelaine Petsch, and I'm in studio with The Hollywood Reporter.
There's a flash forward in the new season. It was at the end of season 3, but I kind of want to take a flash back to your life pre-Riverdale. Did you see what I did?
I see what you did there. That was
Practice
very
it all
clever.
day?
I like that. Yes, practice it all day.
When you look back at kind of your time working in LA, you said like working 3 jobs.
Yeah.
What do you remember most about kind of being the challenges and like kind of what kept you motivated to kind of continue your journey?
Back then, it felt like, I'm so old now. It felt so long. It felt like I was doing it forever. And it's funny because I look at it now and it feels like such a small piece of the pie. Like I've been doing Riverdale for 3 years now, 4. And I mean, it felt really hard when I was doing it, but also I picked jobs that I thoroughly enjoyed. So I was a barista at a really local coffee shop called Republic of Pie. I feel like a lot of people know that place. I met a lot of really cool people there, and there's always music around, and there was always writers there. And so I feel like I chose jobs that were somewhat in the industry, so I still felt like a little fulfilled in that. And I also picked jobs that I could quit easily, so I could go to auditions, which is kind of messed up. But yeah, I was an executive assistant at a political consulting firm for a while. I did crazy stuff, but the hardest part was probably the amount of rejection you get.
Yeah.
It's a lot of rejection, and that's something that everyone tells you, but you can't really get ready for it until...
To prepare for it, kind of.
There's no way. There's no way to prepare for it until you're actually in that. So a lot of tears were shed, but also I think it was a kind of formative moment for me to go through all of that to become who I am today, because now rejection is like, whatever, who cares about
it's
that?
like, I don't need that.
Been through 200 of those, you know? Back then I used to count my auditions too, which was don't do that. Like,
what do you mean, like actually count how many you went on?
I was neurotic, and
Yeah.
I would write down number 1 audition for this thing. This is what they said, and like kind of keep notes. Like I thought that would help me because I felt like I needed to control a piece of my career, and that was the only part that I could control. And the minute I let go of that was the minute that I booked Riverdale, which is the most bizarre thing ever. But it was like I had this huge kind of catalyst moment where I was like, what am I doing? Like I've been here for 3 years. I've only done, I think I did a Honda commercial back then, and that was it. And just worked and did a bunch of auditions and took a bunch of classes, and then I stopped being crazy about my auditions and just like took a deep breath and was like, this isn't art, it should be fun.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing? And that's when I booked Riverdale.
And now you're having the most fun ever on Riverdale.
Yeah.
But Riverdale came from another audition, correct?
Yeah.
Can you kind of tell that story for those who don't
So
know?
I was driving to Venice because I was working for this couple. I was a personal assistant to a couple, and I got a call from my team being like, this is crazy, but there's an audition right now.
This also sounds like its own movie or TV show, by the way, too, like your rise to the...
Oh, wow, thank you. I'm honored. I never thought of it like that, but thank you. So I got a call from my team basically saying, like, there's an audition right now. Can you get there? And also, like, can you be prepared like that? And I was like, I don't know, I guess we can try. So I get to the place. I had to get the sides from the audition room, which I hate doing.
Yeah.
Like, basically a cold read. And my job was totally okay with me missing it. And I went in for Legends of Tomorrow to play a guest star on that show. And they asked me, can you come back later for the producers? I was like, from a cold read? Okay, sure, whatever. And then I was done with the producers. I went in for the producers, and it was the same people who did Riverdale, the same casting director. And he basically was like, look, I'm doing a pilot. There's a role in there for you. We're not even casting her yet, but I just think you're literally perfect for it, and would love to have you come in and read for a different character just so the producers can see you. So a week later, I went in for Betty.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think sometimes people think that I went in to play Betty, and I was never in the running for Betty. They just didn't have anything for Cheryl yet. And so that was the first time that the producers saw me, and they all kind of whispered amongst themselves, and I was like, what does this mean? I don't even know what they're talking
Cheryl
about.
has arrived.
Exactly. And they were like, can you do this kind of like mean? And I was like, read Betty, like mean.
How do you do?
It was the scene where she's in Pop's chocolate shop and she's talking about this best summer of her life.
Oh, okay.
In the first episode.
With Archie.
With Archie, yes.
Yeah.
Good memory. I love that. I don't know. I guess I did a good job because they brought me back into producers when they started casting for Cheryl.
Now, when you did get a script kind of for Cheryl, what jumped off the page about her specifically? And did you kind of brush up on the Archie comics about Cheryl Blossom? Or?
She's not really much in the Archie comics, and I don't think any of the characters are too firmly based on them, so I kind of built my own character. And that's what's great about her, too, is she's not one of the core 4. Like, those characters are so iconic and so set in their ways that it was probably hard to mold those characters. Cheryl I got to have a lot more fun with and play with. And the first thing that I really looked at in the pilot episode, I only got 2 scenes. I got the scene where I sit down with them for lunch and I talk about Archie's Efron-esque emergence from the chrysalis of puberty, which is one of my favorite lines ever. And the other one was the cheerleading auditions, where they have the lesbian kiss and whatever.
When Betty and...
Yes.
She has the best one-liners and quotes.
love her.
Ever. Do you ever translate those to your real life when kind of trying to tell someone off or?
You know, I think I've always been like feisty. I think that comes when you're a redhead, you're just kind of a feisty creature. And so I think it just kind of goes along with my personality, but she's quite witty and also very up-to-date on pop culture. So I think I've become more up-to-date on pop culture because of her and Riverdale in general.
Now, going back to the early days of Riverdale, what were the chemistry reads like with everyone? Did you do them with everyone? Or?
So Lily had just been cast.
Okay.
And that was kind of right when I was starting the whole Cheryl process. And they had found Cole, and that was it. And KJ was at my chemistry read. Lily was at my chemistry read. They hadn't found Cammy yet for Veronica. And I chemistry read with another kid for Archie as well. I didn't read with KJ, and then I read with Lily and this girl, a different girl for Veronica. And Lily, she says the minute that I walked in, she was like, "That's going to be Cheryl."
Really?
Yeah, but I was very nervous, and she thought that I didn't like her, but I can't talk to people in auditions because I get like psyched out.
Because
so
you're focused on
100%. But I remember KJ said, "Oh, sorry, I got caught on the motorway," or something like that. And we were all like, what is a motorway? What are you talking about? I'm so sorry. That was the worst accent ever. Please cut that out.
That was pretty good. No, that was pretty good. I forgot that KJ was Australian until you did that, so.
New Zealand,
oh my gosh.
He's going to come get you. It was the accent. It's her fault.
It's your fault. Going back to season 1, though, when you guys were actually filming, when did you know it would be the hit that it is? And did you have any idea?
No, I had no idea. It was my first kind of project. I guess I've done a couple movies, but other than that, this was like the first time I really got to sink my teeth into Cheryl or into any character. And I don't know. I don't think we ever really thought of it. It's kind of hard to think of what you're in as like a big success because it freaks you out. So I don't think we really ever think about it like that. I'm very grateful that it is, obviously, but you never know. I mean, we aired January 27th, 2017. I remember that day very well. And we watched it and we were like waiting. We're like, what now? We watched our show, like, what's going to happen now? And nothing happened. And then the 4th episode aired and we were like, what's going to happen? It took a long time. I feel like it was kind of a slow burn.
And that's when was there a moment kind of seeing people, like,
the
hearing
first
reactions about the show?
I think the first time a fan came up to me was like the first time that I was like, people watch our show? What?
They know who I am.
I didn't know. They know who I am. People are watching me. No, I'm just kidding. No, the first time that a fan came up to me, I was at the Grove, which used to be one of my favorite places to go.
It's one of my least favorite places ever to go.
Well, now it is for me.
Okay.
Now it is for me.
When you were first out here.
But I used to really love the Grove. It was like my place to go. But I remember I was walking around the Grove and a girl screamed, "Cheryl Blossom!" And I was like, what? And then she ran at me and like hugged me and I was like, wow, it's cool because also I didn't know the impact that we had on fans, and to have somebody run up to you and hug you that you don't know, like an adorable little kid who just thinks everything of you. It was like such a crazy experience. It's like, whoa, A, people watch our show. B, people look up to me.
No.
That's wild. Like as a 21-year-old or 22-year-old, for 15-year-olds to be looking up to you, you're like, wow, that's a lot of responsibility. I'm very honored. And also for people to be that excited about something that you're passionate about. It was the first time that I really was like, wow, people like what we're doing.
What advice would you give a young actor working right now in LA, about to give up, kind of?
You know, it's a hard question because even the advice that I give you is going to either feel patronizing or it's going to feel like you've heard it a million times before, but truly the rejection can be debilitating, and just try not to let it get to you. Honestly, I just started meditating, which seems kind of silly and people probably think it's hokey, but it really will change your life, and I think it could help you kind of find the things that are important outside of your career, which is something that I really work on, and just keep being passionate and really keep that fire lit. Like that fire has to be lit, and stay excited about everything you do. And the nerves are important. Like love the nerves. I get nervous every time the camera rolls.
That means you're doing something right if you get nervous.
Yeah, it feels like
you care about it.
Exactly. And the minute that the nerves go away is the minute that you don't care about it anymore. So keep nervous, keep passionate, keep excited, and just, give it your all.
In season 4, in the latest episode of season 4, we see Toni meet Jason.
Yeah.
The corpse of who Cheryl has been holding.
Jason.
JJ.
I guess. God.
How is this going to affect their relationship going forward?
That's an interesting question. When the body conversation started happening at the end of season 3, I was like, guys, we got to address the mental health piece here. Like, there's something going on. Obviously, Cheryl's having a mental break. We need to figure this out. And they're like, that's going to all be addressed with Toni as well. And so I think that's kind of what the whole narrative of this season has been, is like, Cheryl is the gothic heroine. Like, that is who she is, and that's why we love her so much. At least that's why I love her. And their relationship will be obviously tested by things like that and other people coming into the show and things like that. So I'm not sure how to answer this properly without spoiling anything, but essentially it will be addressed. There will be rocks in the road for them. But Toni's incredibly supportive of Cheryl, and almost, I would say, to a fault.
Now, Choni has been the relationship that everyone has gravitated towards. What has it meant to you to be part of this relationship that people care about so much?
It is one of the greatest honors of my career so far to be one of the few lesbian representations on television. I think it's very rare and sad that it's rare. I remember when I was a kid, I can't think of one off the top of my head that I could think of, and so it's nice to be able to have that on such a mainstream media show. And the impact that it's had on fans' lives is what's the most important to me. When I go to conventions, I've had multiple people, even just one person saying this to me is incredible, but multiple people saying that because of the storyline, they were able to come out to their family and their friends or
really
be who they truly are and live their authentic lives. And that, it might make me emotional. It's like one of them, to have your art impact someone's real life like that is the most incredible thing, and that Cheryl can do that for people. Oh my God, like emotional. That Cheryl can do that. No, it's okay. I really mean it though. Yeah. It's like it's incredible that my art can help people live authentically.
When Toni was first introduced on the show, was it always the plan for her and Cheryl?
I have a funny story about that.
Perfect.
So Vanessa's been my best friend since before the show. We met testing for Riverdale when she was going out for Josie. And when they were looking for Toni Topaz, they auditioned Vanessa, and I would not stop texting Roberto. I was like, if you don't hire her, I swear to God, Roberto. And he's like, oh, I like her. I'm gonna. And I was like, are you gonna hire her?
Cheryl.
You know, exactly. I went full Cheryl on him, and I kept texting him and David Rappaport all the time. And they finally told me she got it, and I had to keep it in. It was the hardest thing from her. And then she called me and told me she got it, which I already knew. Sorry, Vanessa. And that moment on, people already kind of had started once they had announced her, had been like, what if Cheryl and Toni get together? And we hadn't even announced Cheryl's sexuality yet. Like we hadn't even really, we knew, but we hadn't really gone into that world yet. Yeah, and people started tweeting it at us. And so I remember I sent it to Vanessa being like, can you imagine? Like, what if you ended up being my love interest? And then I screenshot that and sent it to Roberto. And I was like, LOL. And he was like, oh, lady, you never know. He loves doing like the little teases, right? Yeah. And then 15 episodes later, we're in a relationship.
What's your best tease for what fans can expect for this kind of different side to what's going on?
There will be a reckoning, and there will be lots of fire.
There's always fire.
Cheryl's like a pyro or something.
There must be. Another thing that happened in the last episode, we see this videotape. Is that going to unravel some mystery?
Is that episode 3 you're talking about?
Episode 3, yeah.
That is, I think, going to be...
set it off.
It's going to set off the mystery for sure.
Something seems up with Jughead's school. I don't know.
There's some things going on there for sure. One of my favorite storylines this year is Jughead's.
Really?
Yeah, I think actually I would say my favorite storyline this year is Jughead's. It's really cool. I think they've done a really excellent job with it. Next
up, you also just launched a new series on your YouTube channel called I Try. What can fans expect for what you'll be trying, and what have you learned about yourself kind of in this series?
I think I've realized that I'm very much like a comfort zone person. I have social anxiety, so it's hard for me to get out of my comfort zone. Same. And this, exactly right. This whole series is about trying new things and pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. And even within doing that, like I talked about meditation earlier, and that's one thing that I learned from it. I did a Reiki episode that I'm not going to put out because it was really personal, but it was something that made me realize, like, wow, this is something that I actually am very interested in and I want to do. And now I do cryotherapy, which is my first episode. And that's kind of what it is. It's really a way for me to, A, create content that people, I think, is kind of different. I don't know if anyone else is doing that. And B, push myself out of my comfort zone and in hopes of also pushing fans out of their comfort zones. Even if it's something silly like cryo, which is not that big of a comfort zone deal. Yeah. But it's just something random and weird, right?
Lastly, you have Sightless coming up. What can audiences and fans of yours expect from that?
It's just a completely different side of me that you've never seen before. I'm really excited about it. It was an intense 20-day shoot, which is incredible. I just did ADR for it the other day, and it's something I've never done before. Honestly, it's just a new side of me.
Thank you so much for being here. This was so much fun. Don't miss Riverdale, Wednesday nights on the CW.
On the CW! Woo-hoo!